Trigger warning. Ghosts, ghouls, and gruesome stuff ahead. It's weird. It's dark. It's your kind of vibe. Welcome to Haunted and Homicidal, the podcast where true crime meets the paranormal. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Courtney. Every week we uncover the terrifying, the twisted, and the totally unexplainable. Lock your doors and grab your sage.
Because things are about to get haunted and homicidal.
Like strawberry, kiwi, and passion fruit.
You know what? That's so funny because London was begging me to have you get 7 Brew today because she wanted the friendship bracelet. If you got 2 of whatever, you got the bracelet. Oh, you got the bracelet.
Hell yeah.
See? I told you.
I wanted it really bad.
I know. I told her. I was like, I forgot that London wanted the bracelet for today. See? I told you. Hell yeah. I was like, just make one. I'm like, it's going to say 7 Brew on it. Like, what's the point? But Wayne was so fucking excited about his Slim Chickens mason jar. And I was like,
Oh, what?
I pulled it out, or I had him grab it because Benjamin is, 9'4", and he put it on the very top shelf of the cabinet. I'm like, I can't reach that.
Yeah.
So I told him, I'm like, hey, babe, come here, grab this for me. And he pulled it down, and he was like, oh, is this mine? I was like, yes. I was like, here's the lid.
Courtney left it for you.
I was like, Courtney left it for you. I'm like, I didn't know where it was because Benjamin puts the dishes away, after the dishwasher is done. And I hadn't looked. I'm like, but here's the lid. And he stuck it right back up in there. I'm like, I thought you wanted to take it with you. He's like, no, it's a collectible.
It's a collectible.
I was like, honey,
your husband's weird.
It's the little things, man. It's the little things.
Did you send a picture of your new crystals to show him?
I haven't. I'll take a picture of him later. He's driving right now. Thankfully, it's been 2 long weeks because he switched driving companies. But it's so weird. Like, it was an adjustment when he left because he.
And now you're like, go away.
It's been like we were together 24/7, So like it was an adjustment trying to figure out how to be by myself, and I didn't know how to act when he was home for 2 weeks. I'm not used to it anymore.
Yeah.
He was home like 4 days, and I was like freaking out. But he was home for like 2 straight weeks. I didn't know how to act. I did not know how to
You're
act.
like, go away. I need alone time.
I didn't know how to act. It's an adjustment. The kids didn't know how to act. I mean, even London yesterday, she said it was weird. It's weird for him to be home now. I mean, and that's just kind of...
Because you gotten so used to him being gone and you got adjusted to that.
Right. So it was like we had to adjust to him being gone because that was the new norm. And then he was home for 2 weeks, which is not going to be the new norm right now.
Yeah.
But it was an adjustment. It was an adjustment. And Misha is like super mopey.
Aww.
Because like when he was home over Christmas, he was home for 4 days, which is 2 more than normal. And she was like real mopey. I'm like, imagine how she's going to be. You're home for 2 straight weeks. 2 straight weeks. It's been rough, and that's why we haven't had an episode. My whole entire family has been fighting the plague.
Not me this time.
No, not Courtney this time, but it was us. Like, maybe you brought it. I don't know.
Because it was not me.
You were sick for 2 months.
I didn't see them, though.
But if you gave it to me and I didn't get that sick, I gave it to them. But it's probably from the school. I mean, that's just a cesspool.
Because everyone from school, because, like, my friend's kid, like, he was sick. He's been sick.
The flu is really bad right now, and that's what when he
my
went
friend, her daughter was sick, and then she got sick. It's
rough.
She had to go to the ER like a few days ago.
Yeah, the ER. They told him, even if it's not popping positive, it is the flu. It is really bad right now, especially down here. It's real bad. She said we are understaffed because half of our staff is out with the flu. So I know, like,
it won't me because I was just stuffy.
Yeah. Hello. Something just touched me, and Misha's over there. Something just went like up my thigh right here. It happens all the time.
Okay, you're a pervert ghost.
Just trying to get my attention, I guess.
Apparently. Don't worry, ghost.
I have so much to drink. I'm gonna have to pee a lot. Okay. Well, that was our little catch up. I know it was 20 whole minutes.
Woohoo! I mean, 2 weeks worth.
Yes, 2 weeks worth. Also, all that won't be in there. So when you hear 20 minutes and it's at like 8 minutes, just smile and go on with it.
Smile and nod, boy. Smile and wave.
Yeah. I've been wearing my podcast shirt out in public.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's gotten any new people, but people have asked me about it, so I don't know.
Well, I know we
free-
have
free
40. I know
marketing.
we have 41 something on Facebook.
What do you mean, like listeners?
We have like 41 new followers or something on Facebook. I
Oh,
think.
really? I don't even pay attention.
I think it's.
don't even
I
pay
get the
attention.
notifications on my Facebook.
Yeah, see, I have all that.
I need
stuff
to get
turned
off the other one.
Which one?
The one that you and London did. Y'all made the Facebook for.
Oh yeah, we probably need to get you off of that one. And I need to close that one like completely down. I have no reason to have it anymore. Let me see. Yeah, I haven't.
Cause I keep trying to figure out how to leave, and it won't let me leave.
That's all-time downloads.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. And we're still babies.
Yeah.
We're still like, and we don't market. And so for us to not market, that's really fucking good.
Exactly. Once we market and stuff, it'd be better.
Was that you or me?
That was me.
Oh.
I don't know what the hell that was.
That was your throat like preparing itself because we've talked a lot and then we're getting ready to talk a whole lot more. And I guess we're going to go ahead and get into it now because we have spent quite a long time talking.
All right. So it's just me this episode because it's my turn for Big Story.
Yes. And I'm so excited.
I have Charles Manson, who was an American serial killer, cult leader, and musician who led the Manson family, a cult based in California in the late 1960s and early 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
So, first we're going to talk about his early life. So, from like 1934 to 1967.
Okay.
So, Charles Mills Maddox was born on November 12th, 1934. He is a Scorpio. To 16-year-old. So, this is his dad.
Of course, he's a Scorpio.
So, to 16-year-old Ada Kathleen Maddox of Ashland, Kentucky.
His mom was really young.
In Cincinnati General Hospital, now the University of Cincinnati Academic Health Center in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati.
Manson's Ohio birth certificate simply lists his name as Manson.
Oh. That's it?
That's it.
And like that wasn't even his name.
Apparently not. She
It was-
said Manson.
Okay.
Yeah. So his biological father appears to have been Colonel Walker Henderson Scott Sr. of Catlettsburg, Kentucky, against whom Maddox filed a paternity suit that resulted in an agreed judgment in 1937. Scott worked intermittently in local mills and had a local reputation as a con artist.
Oh. So Manson's off to a great start.
Well, this is his parent.
That's what I'm saying. Like, his life was off to a great start. His mom was 16, couldn't even take care of herself.
Nope.
His dad was probably twice her fucking age.
His mom gets worse.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, he, like, from birth, like, even
He was fucked from day
in
one.
utero, he was fucked.
He was fucked.
Yeah.
So, Scott allowed Maddox to believe that he was an Army colonel, although colonel was merely his given name. He's like, yeah, we're going to go with it. She thinks I'm a colonel. We're just going to go with it.
Oh,
Even though that's my
oh
name.
my God.
When Maddox told Scott that she was pregnant, he informed her that he had been called away on Army business.
Oh.
He said, you knew.
He's
Fuck.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I don't want it. After several months, she realized he had no intention of returning.
Yeah, because he was in the fake army.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
And of course, Manson never knew his biological father.
Yeah. I never knew my
Father. In August 1934, before Manson's birth, Maddox married William Eugene Manson, a laborer at a dry cleaning business.
Still 16, right?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think she's like 16.
16 or 17 by then?
Well, 13, 14. She's still 16.
Oh, sure. Lord have mercy.
Maddox often went on drinking sprees with her brother, Luther Elbert Maddox, leaving Charles with babysitters.
That sounds familiar.
Uh-huh.
That's like Pazuzu's mom right there.
We ain't talking about his mother. On April 30th, 1937, Maddox and her husband divorced after William alleged gross neglect of duty by Maddox.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is true, because you pretty much left your kid.
All right. Why didn't he, does it say, like, why he didn't, like, go for custody to put him in, like, a more
I guess
stable
because he's
environment?
like, this bitch ain't my kid. I don't want it.
No, but, I mean, if the situation, like, if I were in that situation and, you know, my husband does have a child with somebody else, she's 18, but if she were younger, you know, and...
Well, this is, like, back then, they don't really...
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like, if I was with somebody who had a child and they were irresponsible, I would do whatever I needed to do to protect the child.
I'm sorry, Misha.
What?
I moved the chair. She was like,
Bitch.
she's like, bitch, I was sleeping.
She said, this is my house. I was sleeping. Have some respect. Put some respect on my name.
Exactly. So, of course, Charles retained William's last name of Manson, so he kept his last name. On August, I don't know, they're
confused
they're just all messed up.
Like, normally that would, like, detail an adoption, like, for you to change their last name.
Well, I think because all he had on his birth certificate was Manson, I guess. I don't know.
So she listed him as the father?
I think she just put his name on the birth certificate. I don't think she listed him as a father.
I'm so confused. Okay.
Their whole
I'm really
is all
confused.
fucked up.
I'm confused about that because if his name is Charles Mills Maddox, but they only put Manson on the birth certificate, like where? I'm so confused. Okay.
Yeah, I tried looking it up, but I couldn't find anything. It didn't tell me nothing, and I'm like, bruh.
I wonder if it's in any of those books.
Maybe. On August 1st, 1939, Kathleen and Luther were arrested for assault. So his mom and uncle were arrested for assault and robbery and sentenced to 5 and 10 years of imprisonment, respectively. So, of course, Manson was placed in the home of an aunt and uncle in McMechen, West Virginia. And then his mother was paroled in 1942. Manson later characterized the first weeks after she returned from prison as the happiest time in his life.
What?
Yeah, apparently, when his mom got home, that was the happiest time of his life.
After her first stint in prison.
Yes.
I would have assumed the happiest time would have been while she was fucking gone.
Nope, he loved his mother, and he loved it when she was home. I don't know, the whole family's fucked up. And then weeks after her release, Manson family moved to Charleston, West Virginia, where he played truant, which is pretty much he didn't go to school. He kept skipping. And his mother spent her evenings drinking.
Truant.
I said truant.
You said truant.
Oh, my bad. Truant.
We're fancy. We're fancy today. Fancy. We're gonna be truant. It's like croissant.
Croissant. And then, of course, she was arrested for grand larceny, but not convicted. And then the family later moved to Indianapolis, where Maddox met alcoholic Lewis Woodson Cavender Jr. through Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and married him in August 1943.
I mean, so, like, obviously she had a rough life. And at 16, you can't expect people to make good decisions. But, like, she seemed to just, like, snowball and...
She pretty much did.
Continually get worse.
She just got worse.
Yeah.
There was no getting better. She just got worse.
I mean, I guess at that point, you just have to, like, want to get better. And some people just want to be the victim.
Mm-hmm. So, we're going to talk about his first offenses. So, in an interview with Diane Sawyer, Manson stated that when he was 9 years old, he set his school on fire.
Yeah.
He said, fuck that school. And then he also got repeatedly in trouble for skipping school and petty theft.
Yeah.
And
like most 9-year-olds, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
In 1947, although there was a lack of foster home placements, at age 13, Manson was placed in the Geobalt School for Boys in Terre Haute, Indiana, a school for male delinquents run by Catholic priests.
No. No.
It was a strict school where punishment for even the smallest infraction included beatings with either a wooden paddle or a leather strap.
Nope.
And Manson ran away, slept in the woods, under bridges, and wherever else he could find shelter.
Yeah, poor baby. Can you imagine at 13 years old having to do that, having to deal with that? Like, it's like one of those situations where I don't agree with what happened, and I think it shouldn't have happened. But standing on the outside, I can kind of see why it went that way.
He's been fucked up since day one.
I mean, and also a lot of people go through similar or worse things and don't end up having a cult and encouraging them to kill people. But it's kind of one of those, like, Yeah, that checks. That fucking checks, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he fled home to his mother and spent Christmas 1947 at his aunt and uncle's house in West Virginia. And then his mother returned him. Don't spit out the coffee.
I'm not trying to, but that was like funny and sad at the same time. He's like, I'm going home, and his mom's like, no, return to sender, thank you.
Well, she sent him back after Christmas.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, yeah, she
you
was
get
like,
to be here for like Christmas, and
but
then
she's
like
you gotta go back.
Bye.
And then 10 months later, he ran away to Indianapolis. And it was there, in 1948, that he committed his first documented crime by robbing a grocery store. At first, to simply find something to eat.
Yeah.
He found a cigar box containing just over $100, which he used to rent a room on Indianapolis' Skid Row and to buy food. And for a time, he had a job delivering messages for Western Union in an attempt to live honestly.
Oh, it just didn't work out for him.
And then he quickly began to supplement his wages through theft. He said, fuck dishonest work.
Yeah.
He said,
ain't nobody going to get anywhere doing this shit.
He said, nah. And then he was eventually caught, and in 1949, a sympathetic judge sent him to Boys Town, a juvenile facility in Omaha, Nebraska. And then after 4 days at Boys Town, he and fellow student Blackie Nielsen obtained a gun and stole a car.
Go, okay. So...
And they used it to commit 2 armed robberies on their way to the home of Nielsen's uncle in Peoria, Illinois.
Yeah,
Illinois.
That's wild. Stealing shit out of a grocery store to feed yourself, and then like the very next time you're using a gun and stealing cars. Like, I don't understand. And then 2 armed robberies.
And Nielsen's uncle was a professional thief, and when the boys arrived, he allegedly took them as apprentices.
Oh my God.
And then Manson was arrested 2 weeks later during a nighttime raid on a Peoria store. And then in the investigation that followed, he was linked to his 2 earlier armed robberies. And then he was sent to the Indiana Boys School, a strict reform school outside of Plainfield, Indiana. And then at the school, other students allegedly raped Manson with the encouragement of a staff member and was repeatedly beaten.
Yep.
He ran away from the school 18 times.
Jesus, can you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
Golly.
And then, so Manson developed a self-defense technique he later called the, quote, insane game. In which
I don't know if it was a game.
Yeah. In which he would screech, grimace, and wave his arms to convince stronger aggressors that he was insane. Which, I mean, he was insane, so. And then in February 1951, after a number of failed attempts, he escaped with 2 other boys. The 3 escapees robbed filling stations while attempting to drive to California in stolen cars until they arrested in Utah. This man's been arrested so many times since he was like 9.
Right.
For a federal crime of driving a stolen car across state lines, Manson was sent to Washington, D.C.'s National Training School for Boys. On arrival, he was given aptitude tests which determined that he was illiterate but had an above average IQ of 109. Which, I mean, he kept skipping school, so of course he was illiterate. And then his caseworker deemed him aggressively antisocial.
Well.
They're like, nyeh. So, his first imprisonment, in October 1951, on a psychiatrist's recommendation, Manson was transferred to Natural Bridge Honor Camp, a minimum security institution in Virginia. His aunt visited him and told administrators that she would let him stay at her house and help him find work. And then he had a parole hearing scheduled for February 1952.
Sorry, I hit the thing with my coffee.
You're so aggressive. And then in January, he was caught raping a boy at knife point. And then he was transferred to the Federal Reformatory in Petersburg, Virginia, where he committed a further, quote, 8 serious disciplinary offenses, 3 involving homosexual acts. Yes.
If they had just locked him up.
Exactly. Like, this kid, he's been freaking...
If they had just locked him up and kept him there instead of slap on the wrist, you're free to go.
Like, this kid, he's been fucking...
All of these people and that baby would be alive.
Since he was 9.
Like, maybe not alive today, because this happened a very long time ago. Yes. But they would have been alive during their time.
Yes.
They would have... I mean, the baby probably would be alive. They'd probably be around my age or a little bit
Probably.
older.
Yeah.
But they would have been alive. They
Like,
wouldn't have been
you've
killed.
known this kid, you've known him having issues since he was 9 when he set his school on fire. And y'all said, oh, nah, he's fine. Bitches. He was then moved to a maximum security reformatory at, goddamn these names, Chillicothe, Ohio. He was then moved to a maximum security reformatory at Chillicothe, Ohio, where he was expected to remain. Don't ask me how I say this name. Where he was expected to remain until his release on his 21st birthday in November 1955.
That was 30 years before I was born.
Good
It was 30 years.
behavior led to an early release.
See? Good behavior. No.
He's not a fucking good behavior. He's a fucking psychopath.
They do not behave.
No.
This is what a narcissist
He does mind games.
This is what a narcissist does. They make you believe they're good people. They've changed. They're going to do right.
Fuck that shit. He's been in jail how many times now?
What was it, 13? I don't even know. Shit.
He's been
Like once a year since he turned 9?
Yeah. So, early release in May 1954 to live with his aunt and uncle in West Virginia. And then in January 1955, he married a hospital waitress named Rosie Jean Willis.
What the fuck is a hospital waitress?
I don't know. Someone who brings him food?
Like the EVS people? Like they go to the cafeteria and they load up the trays and they deliver them to the rooms?
Probably.
Why do they call it a waitress? That's weird. I don't like that. Okay, continue. I like stupid. I don't. What? Okay. Stressed.
And then around October, about 3 months after, he and his pregnant wife arrived in LA in a car he had stolen in Ohio.
Did she know he stole it?
Probably.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, no.
Manson was again charged with a federal crime for taking the vehicle across state lines. And then after a psychiatric evaluation, he was given a 5-year probation. And then his failure to appear at a LA hearing on an identical charge filed in Florida resulted in his March 1956 arrest in Indianapolis. And then with his probation was revoked, and he was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment at Terminal Island in LA. And then while he was in prison, Rosalie gave birth to their son, Charles Manson Jr. And then during his first year, Manson received visits from Rosalie and his mother, who were now living together in LA. And then in March 1957...
Wait, his crackhead mom is now living with his wife and new baby.
Yep.
Okay.
And then in March she just couldn't stay away from her son. She moved where he moved. In March 1957, when the visits from his wife ceased, his mother informed him she was living with another man. And then less than 2 weeks before a scheduled parole hearing, he tried to escape by stealing a car. And then he was given 5 years probation and his parole denied. Oh, you looking at him?
I was looking to see what his son looks like, but you really don't. The only person that they really list is his grandson. And he's not
You might
bad
have to look
looking.
up her.
Well, they have his grandson.
Oh.
That's his grandson.
Is he holding his ashes?
I don't know whose ashes.
Oh my God.
I don't know whose ashes he's holding. Let me look at it. I have to find out. Oh, hey, go away.
Okay. Second imprisonment.
It said the urn that once contained Manson's ashes. Where are his ashes?
Gone.
Where did they go?
So then in September 1958, he received 5 years parole, the same year in which Rosalie received a decree of divorce. And then by November, he was pimping a 16-year-old girl and receiving additional
Jesus
support from a
fucking
girl
Christ.
with wealthy
See?
parents.
Bruh, like, how?
I just don't get how he got so many of these fucking girls to like. I mean,
because he was a good-looking man.
but it's
He
like,
was a free spirit.
but still,
I know.
but
It's
still.
insane. But that's why I said I would have gone. I would have been his flower child. I would have gone. And I know this about myself. I fucking know this about myself.
In September 1959, he pleaded guilty to a charge of attempting to cash a forged U.S. Treasury check, which he claimed to have stolen from a mailbox. The latter charge was later dropped. And then he received a 10-year suspended sentence and probation after a young woman named Leona Ray or Candy Stevens, who had an arrest record for prostitution, made a tearful plea before the court that she and Manson were deeply in love and would marry if Charlie were freed.
Oh, his son killed himself.
Aww.
In 1993.
Damn.
So the grandson must have been really, really young. Oh.
Does it say why?
It just says whose father killed himself in 1993. But his grandson's a 6'2" kickboxer and cage fighter. That man is hefty.
Damn.
He said he knew from a young age that Charles Manson was his grandfather, but it never registered like who he actually was until they were learning about it in school.
Oh.
He said, my teacher was talking about Charles Manson, and I was looking around like, are there people staring at me? I mean, I'd have been like,
yeah.
That's your granddaddy?
And your granddaddy? You related? And
can I meet him?
You know,
Take me to jail, please. Thank you.
And then before the year's end, Stevens married Manson. And then Vincent Bugliosi, the prosecutor who later secured Manson's murder conviction, believed the marriage may have been so she could not be required to testify against Manson. And then Manson took Leona and another woman to New Mexico for purpose of prostitution, resulting him in being held in question for violating the Mann Act. Though he was released, Manson correctly suspected that the investigation had not ended.
So it does say why he killed himself.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, he was basically bullied and tortured for having Charles Manson as his name.
Aww.
To the point where he went out onto a desolate section of a highway in Colorado and blew his head off.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it said he was...
Yeah, because 1993, that was like... I think that's when he was...
Yeah, it said June 29th of 1993. That's when he killed himself. Because he couldn't... It was a curse. He had the name, and people knew. They knew, and they would not.
Yeah.
Even though he had nothing to fucking do with it, so it's so not fair. People fucked with him and harassed him and bullied him so much that he felt there was no way out other than to kill himself, and he left behind a baby. Sick. Sick.
When he disappeared in violation of his probation, a bench warrant was issued. And then in April 1960, an indictment for violation of the Mann Act followed. And then following the arrest of one of the women for prostitution, Manson was arrested in June in Loretto, Texas, and was returned to L.A. Like, quit releasing this man.
And that's like see? That's this whole thing that I keep saying. If the police would have if the justice system was doing their job, mind you, there are people in jail right now who had a pound of fucking weed who were there for 50 fucking years.
But yet y'all keep releasing all these fucking murderers and shit.
Murderers, rapists, child pedophiles in general, predators.
Like psychopaths, like Manson.
2 years in jail, 80% of that taken off because of time served. But someone that had a little more than personal use amount of weed, 50 years in jail.
Exactly.
Or someone who committed blue-collar crimes or white-collar crimes where they're just forgery or whatever. Like, there are victims, you know, there's no such thing as a victimless crime. There are victims, whether it's, like, directly or indirectly. But having too much weed, you're charged with intent to sell, okay? And that's where the hefty fines and charges come in, is the intent.
Yeah.
The intent to sell. But why is the intent to sell marijuana carrying almost life sentences, but stalking and rape and attempted murder are not? Like,
Exactly.
I don't understand.
Exactly. So for violating his probation on the check cashing charge, he was ordered to serve his 10-year sentence. And then he spent a year trying to unsuccessfully appeal the revocation of his probation. And then in July 1961, he was transferred from the L.A. County Jail to the U.S. Penitentiary at McNeil Island, Washington. There he took guitar lessons from Barker Karpus gang leader Alvin, or Creepy, Karpus. What?
His nickname was Creepy?
Yep.
Was he creepy? Hold on, let me look. I have to look.
And obtained from another inmate the contact information of Phil Kaufman, a producer at Universal Studios in Hollywood.
Alvin Creepy, what was his name?
Carcass.
There he is right there. Okay.
Yeah, he's creepy.
He's creepy.
He's creepy. Among Manson's fellow prisoners... What the hell?
I want to put that one on there.
Among Manson's fellow prisoners during this time was future actor Danny Trejo, and the two participated in several hypnosis sessions together. You looking at Danny Trejo?
This one?
Yes.
He had contact with him? I
Yes.
fucking love him.
I know.
No. Wait, what did they do?
Several hypnosis sessions at jail.
Oh, he was in jail with him.
Yeah, this is before he was acting. It says future actor.
Oh, I love Danny Trejo. I fucking love him.
Yeah, because he used to be in jail.
I know
he was big.
Manson's got like, what is it, like the Beatles he has ties to, or the Beach Boys or something
Beach
like
Boys.
that. Yeah.
He wanted the Beatles.
Yoko Ono said no.
Manson's mother moved to Washington State to be closer to him during his McNeil Island incarceration, working nearby as a waitress. Although the Mann Act charge had been dropped, the attempt to arch the Treasury check was still a federal offense. And then Manson's September 1961 annual review noted he had a, quote, tremendous drive to call attention to himself, end quote. An observation echoed in September 1964. And then in 1963, Leona was granted a divorce. During the process, she alleged that she and Manson had a son, Charles Luther Manson. And then
What? Hold on. Who had a son?
the second wife.
With him.
Yes.
Why do they keep naming their children Charles Manson?
I don't know. According to popular urban legend, Manson auditioned unsuccessfully for the Monkees in late 1965.
Hey, we're the monkeys.
This is refuted.
Wait.
This is refuted by the fact that he was still incarcerated at McNeil Island at the time.
I was gonna say, like, how does he have connections to all these like major fucking bands?
He doesn't, but they keep saying he does. In June 1966, Manson was sent for the second time to Terminal Island in preparation for an early release.
Could you imagine how his life would have been if he actually auditioned for the Monkees and like became a monkey? Can you imagine? Like he probably, this trajectory would have probably have been completely different.
Probably. By the time of his release day on March 21st, 1967, he has spent more than half of his 32 years in prisons and other institutions. But they still kept fucking releasing his ass.
Hello? Anybody? Does anybody understand what I say when I say things? Like, does anybody get it at all? Anybody? Me? Is it just me? It's just me. It's just me, right?
And this was mainly because he had broken several federal laws, but y'all still kept fucking releasing them. Federal sentences were and remain much more severe than state sentences for many of the same offenses.
Do they, though? Do they? Do they, though?
Telling the authorities that prison had become his home, he requested permission to stay. You should have fucking kept him.
Oh my God.
The man wanted to stay. You should have fucking let him.
My guy, if somebody comes to you and you're like, what do they call the people? The warden of the prison or whatever, and they're like, hey, like, can I just like stay here forever? Let them, especially
let him.
Since for 16 fucking years of his life he has been in prison.
Majority of his life.
That's what I'm saying. You said half of his life at 32. So half of his life he's already spent in prison. You know he's going to end up back there. Just give him permanent residency.
Exactly. He wanted to stay anyway.
Because you see where we're at. At 32, this could have been the end of it. It could have been the end of it. And all these people wouldn't have been dead. Do you see? 9 people. Or nine... Was it 9 people or 9 murders? Like separate murders. So was it like 5 people, 1 murder, 6 people with another murder, 1 person with a third murder, or regardless, all of these people and the baby would have been safe.
Exactly.
They would have been fucking safe. Exactly. And I was really, really mad like 2 or 3 years ago when that bitch got released from prison. She should have not have ever She should never. It should have never happened. She shouldn't have been allowed out. She should have never been allowed out. One of his followers, one of the main ones, she was getting out of prison because she was only given like 40 years and she served her time. But no, it should have been life because she took a life. It's bullshit. Angry.
Can you talk any faster?
I'm angry. I have to use my hands.
Use the hands. All right, so now we're going to talk about from 1967 to 1968, San Francisco and the cult formation. Less than a month after his 1967 release, Manson moved to Berkeley from LA, which could have been a probation violation.
Oh.
Instead, after calling the San Francisco probation office upon his arrival, he was transferred to the supervision of criminology doctoral researcher and federal probation officer Roger Smith. Until the spring of 1968, Smith worked at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic, HAFMC, which Manson and his family came to frequent. Roger Smith, as well as the founder David Smith, received funding from the National Institutes of Health and reportedly the CIA to study the effects of drugs like LSD and methamphetamine on the counterculture movement in San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury district. The patients at the HAFMC became subjects of their research, including Manson and his expanding group of mostly female followers who came to see Roger regularly. And then Manson received permission from Roger to move from Berkeley to the Haight-Ashbury district. He first took LSD and would use it frequently during his time there. And then David Smith, who studied the effects of LSD and amphetamines in rodents, wrote that the change in Manson's personality during this time, quote, was the most abrupt Roger Smith had observed in his entire professional career. And then Manson also read the book Stranger in Strange Land, a science fiction novel by Robert Heinlein, inspired by the burgeoning free love philosophy in Haight-Ashbury. During the summer of love, Manson began preaching his own philosophy based on a mixture of Stranger in Strange Land, the Bible, Scientology, Dale Carnegie, and the Beatles, which quickly earned him a following. He may have also borrowed some of his philosophy from the Process Church of the Final Judgment, whose members believed Satan would become reconciled to Jesus. To Jesus, and they would come together at the end of the world to judge humanity. And then he got involved with Scientology.
Oh my God.
Manson began studying Scientology while incarcerated with the help of fellow inmate Lanier Radnor, and in July 1961 listed Scientology as his religion. Yes, ma'am.
So if everything prior to this wasn't a red flag, this is your biggest one right now.
Yes. And then in September 1961, prison report argues that Manson, quote, appears to have developed a certain amount of insight into his problems through this study of his discipline. And then another prison report in August 1966 stated that Manson was no longer an advocate of Scientology. Upon his release in 1967, Manson traveled to LA, where he reportedly, quote, met local Scientologists and attended several parties for movie stars. Manson completed 150 hours of auditing. His right-hand man, Bruce Davis, worked at the Church of Scientology headquarters in London from November 1968 to April 1969. Okay. Shortly after relocating to San Francisco, Manson acquainted with Mary Brunner, a 23-year-old graduate of University of Wisconsin-Madison. That's where my parents went to school.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Brunner was working as a library assistant at the University of California, Berkeley, and Manson, until that point, making his living by panhandling, moved in with her. Manson then met teenage runaway Lynette Fromm, later nicknamed Squeaky, and convinced her to live with him and Brunner. I like how he's like moved in with some other chick, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you come in here with us." Like, but dude, you don't fucking live here. Yeah. According to secondhand account, Manson overcame Brunner's initial resistance to him bringing other women to live with them.
I mean, I would be kind of like...
Before long, they were sharing Brunner's residence with 18 other women. He targeted individuals. He would have.
I've been like, what? Live with you? Okay.
Manson targeted individuals for manipulation who are emotionally insecure and social outcasts. And he established himself as a guru in Haight-Ashbury, which during the Summer of Love was emerging as a signature hippie local.
If it has an E, it's locale.
Manson soon had the first of his groups of followers, most of them female. They were later dubbed as the Manson Family by Los Angeles prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi in the media.
Oh. Sure. We'll go with that one.
Yeah.
Bugly, ugly.
And then Manson allegedly taught his followers that they were the reincarnation of the original Christians and that the establishment could be characterized as the Romans. And then sometime around 1967, Manson began using the alias Charles Willis Manson. That's my alias.
Oh.
Before the end of the summer, he and some of his followers began traveling in an old school bus that they had adapted, putting colored rugs and pillows in place of the many seats they had removed. And then they eventually settled in the LA areas of Topanga Canyon, Malibu, and Venice along the coast.
Topanga?
And then in 1967, Brunner became pregnant by Manson. And then on April 15th, 1968, she gave birth to their son, whom she named Valentine Michael, in a condemned house where they were living in Topanga Canyon. She was assisted by several of the young women from the fledgling family instead of going to the fucking hospital. Brunner, like most of the members of the group, acquired a number of aliases and nicknames, including, I'm going to butcher some of these, Mary Oach, Mother Mary, Mary Manson, Linda D. Manson, and Christine Marie Oaks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oops.
Mm-hmm. In his book, Love Needs Care, about his time at the HAFMCC, David Smith claimed that Manson attempted to reprogram his followers' minds to, quote, submit totally to his will through the use of LSD and unconventional sexual practices that would turn his followers into, quote, empty vessels that would accept anything he poured.
Yeah.
And then Manson family member Paul Watkins testified that Manson would encourage group LSD trips and take lower doses of himself to keep his wits about him. Watkins stated that Charlie's trip was to program us all to submit. By the end of his stay in the Haight in April 1968, Manson had attracted 20 or so followers, all under the supervision of Roger Smith and many of the staff at the HAFMC.
Half mook.
The core members of Manson's following eventually included Brunner, Charles Tex Watson, a musician and former actor, Bobby Bosolil, a former musician and actor, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten. And then supervised by his ostensible parole officer, Roger Smith, Manson grew his family through drug use and prostitution without interference from the authorities. Because fucking you, Roger Smith.
Yep.
And then Manson was arrested on July 31st, 1967 for attempting to prevent the arrest of one of his followers, Ruth Ann Morehouse. Instead of Manson being sent back to prison, the charge was reduced to a misdemeanor and Manson was given 3 additional years of probation. And then he avoided prosecution again in July 1968 when he and the family were arrested while moving to LA after his bus crashed into a ditch. Manson and the family members of his family, including Brunner and Manson's newborn baby, were found sleeping naked by police. Afterwards, he was again arrested and released only a few days later, this time on a drug charge. Now, his involvement with the Beach Boys.
Now.
So on April 6, 1969, Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys was driving through Malibu when he noticed 2 female hitchhikers, Chris Krenwinkel and Ella Joy Bailey. He picked them up and dropped them off at their destination. And then on April 11th, he noticed the same 2 girls hitchhiking again. And this time, which was your mistake, took them to his home at 14400 Sunset Boulevard. Wilson later recalled that he, quote, told the girls about our involvement with the Maharashi, and they told me that and they told me they too had a guru, a guy named Charlie Manson, who'd recently come out of jail after 12 years. Wilson then went to a recording session. When he returned later that night, he was met in his driveway by Manson, and when he walked into his home, about a dozen people were occupying the premises, most of them young women. By Manson's own account, he had met Wilson on at least one prior occasion at a friend's San Francisco house where Manson had gone to obtain marijuana. And then Manson claimed that Wilson invited him to visit his home when Manson came to LA, which was probably a fucking lie. Wilson was initially fascinated by Manson and his followers, referring to him as the Wizard in a Rave magazine article at the time.
The Wizard.
The Wizard. The two struck a friendship, and over the next few months, members of the Manson family, mostly women who were treated as servants, were housed in Wilson's residence. This arrangement persisted for about 6 months, and then Wilson introduced Manson to a few friends in the music business, including the Birth producer Terry Melcher. Manson recorded numerous songs at Brian Wilson's home studio, although the recordings remained unheard by the public. Band engineer Steven Desper said that the Manson sessions were done for Dennis Wilson and Terry Melcher, and then in September 1968, Wilson recorded a Manson song for the Beach Boys, originally titled Cease to Exist, but reworked as Never Learn Not to Love as a single B-side released the following December. The writing was credited solely to Wilson.
Yeah, and fucking Manson had a fit.
When asked why Manson was not credited, Wilson explained that Manson relinquished his publishing rights in favor of, quote, about $100,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Around this time, the family destroyed 2 of Wilson's luxury cars. Wilson eventually distanced himself from Manson and moved out of the Sunset Boulevard house, leaving the family there, and took residence at a basement apartment in Santa Monica. Virtually all of Wilson's household possessions were stolen by the family. The members were evicted from his home 3 weeks before the lease was scheduled to expire. When Manson sought further contact, he left a bullet with Wilson's housekeeper to be delivered with a threatening message.
Mm-hmm.
Band manager Nick Grillo recalled that Wilson became concerned after Manson had got, quote, into a much heavier drug situation, taking a tremendous amount of acid, and Dennis wouldn't tolerate it and asked him to leave. It was difficult for Dennis because he was afraid of Charlie. End quote. Yeah. Writing his 2016 memoir, Mike Love recalled Wilson saying he had witnessed Manson shooting a black man in half with an M16 rifle and hiding the body inside a well. Melcher said that Wilson had been aware that the family were killing people and had been, quote, so freaked out he just didn't want to live anymore. He was afraid and he thought he should have gone to authorities, but he didn't, and the rest of it happened.
Yeah.
And then Manson established the base for the family at the Spawn Ranch in August 1968 after their eviction from Wilson's residence. The ranch had been a television and movie set for westerns, but the buildings had deteriorated by the late 1960s. The ranch then derived revenue primarily from selling horseback rides. Female family members did chores around the ranch and occasionally had sex on Manson's order with the nearly blind 80-year-old owner, George Spawn. The woman also acted as guides for him. In exchange, Spawn allowed Manson and his group to live at the ranch for free.
Okay.
Like, these people.
Yeah, and, like, a lot happened on that ranch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Manson family evolved into a doomsday cult when Manson became fixated on the idea of an imminent apocalyptic race war between America's black minority and the larger white population. A white supremacist. Fuck that word. Never mind.
Supremacist?
Yeah, there you go.
A white supremacist.
Yes.
Had to step in there for a second.
Yes, thank you.
Fuck ice.
Fuck ice. Manson told some of the family that black people would rise up and kill the entire white population except for Manson and his followers, but they were not intelligent enough to survive on their own. They needed a white man to lead them, and so they would serve Manson as their master. In late 1968, Manson adopted the term Helter Skelter, taken from a song on the Beatles' recently released White Album to refer to his upcoming war.
Yeah.
Because you people are
stupid. Yeah, you know.
On March 23rd, 1969, Manson entered the grounds of 150 Celio Drive, which he had known as Melcher's residence. He was not invited. As he approached the main house, Manson was met by Shahrokh Hatimi, an Iranian photographer who had befriended film director Roman Polanski and his wife Sharon Tate during the making of the documentary Mia and Roman. Hitami was there to photograph Tate before she departed from Rome the following day. Seeing Manson approach, Hitami went on the front porch to ask him what he wanted. Manson said that he was looking for Melcher, whose name Hitami did not recognize. Hitami told him the place was the Polenti residence and then advised him to try the path to the guest house beyond the main house. Tate appeared behind Hitami in the house's front door and asked him who was calling. Hitami and Tate maintained their positions while Manson went back to the guest house without a word, returned to the front a minute or two later, and left. That evening, Manson returned to the property and again went to the guest house. He entered the enclosed porch and spoke with Alto Belli, the owner, who had just come out of the shower. Manson asked for Melcher, but Alto Belli felt that Manson was instead looking for him. It was later discovered that Manson had apparently been on the property on earlier occasions after Melcher left. Alto Belli told Manson through the screen door that Melcher had moved to Malibu and said that he did not know his new address, although he did. Alto Belli told Manson he was leaving the country the next day, and Manson said he would like to speak with him upon his return. Alto Belli said that he would be gone for more than a year. Manson said that he had been directed to the guest house by the persons in the main house, and Alto Belli asked Manson not to disturb his tenants. And then Alto Belli and Tate flew together to Rome the next day. And then Tate asked him whether that creepy-looking guy had gone to see him at the guest house the day before.
That creepy-looking guy. I mean, he was kind of creepy-looking, so.
So now we're going to talk about from 1969 to 1971, the crimes and trial. So we're going to start with the Crow shooting. So Tex Wilson became involved in drug dealing and robbed a 22-year-old rival named Bernard Lotsopapa Crow. Crow allegedly responded with a threat to kill everyone at Spawn Ranch. He really should have. In response, Manson shot Crow on July 1st, 1969 at Manson's Hollywood apartment. Manson's belief that he had killed Crow was seemingly confirmed by a news report of the discovery of the dumped body of a Black Panther in L.A. Although Crow was not a member of the Black Panthers, Manson concluded he had been and expected retaliation from the Panthers. He turned Spawn Ranch into a defensive camp, establishing night patrols by armed guards.
Yeah, Manson was very paranoid.
Uh-huh.
Very paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say Manson didn't kill anybody because, obviously.
Yeah,
he shot somebody. But the majority of the issues, he was hands off.
Yeah, he was more psycho.
Yeah, he was very, very manipulative and charming and convincing. And it's so scary that you can convince people to do this kind of stuff. It's I wouldn't have killed for him for sure, but I would have been in his little group.
Yeah. Watson would later write, quote, Blackie was trying to get at the chosen ones.
Okay, so Blackie, is that a derogatory nickname or is it just a nickname?
I think it was I think it's what they were calling the black people, probably, I think.
That's what I'm saying. So, was it derogatory?
I think so.
Okay, well, he was a Nazi, so.
Manson brought in members of the Straight Satan's motorcycle club to act as security.
The Straight Satans?
Straight Satans.
Or they're crooked Satans?
I don't know. These were
gay Satans?
I don't know, I guess, because these were straight.
Okay.
So now we have the Hinman murder. So 34-year-old Gary Allen Hinman, a music teacher and graduate student at UCLA, had previously befriended members of the family. Y'all are stupid. And allowed some to occasionally stay at his home in Topanga Canyon. According to Atkin, Manson believed Hinman was wealthy and sent her, Brunner, and Busol, I'm just calling him Bobby because I can't say his last name, to Hinman's home to convince him to join the family and turn over assets Manson thought he had inherited. Because you fucking dumb, he didn't fucking have nothing.
Yep.
The three held Hinman hostage for 2 days in late July 1969 as he denied having any money. And during this time, Manson arrived with a sword and slashed his face and ear. After that, Bobby stabbed Hinman to death, allegedly on Manson's instruction. Before leaving the residence, Bobby or one of the women used Hinman's blood to write "Political Piggy" on the wall and to draw a panther paw, a Black Panther symbol. According to Bobby, he came to Hinman's house to recover money paid to Hinman for mescaline provided to the straight Satans that has supposedly been bad. Bobby added that Brunner and Atkins, unaware of his intent, went along to visit Hinman. Atkins, in her 1977 autobiography, wrote that Manson directed Bobby, Brunner, and her to go to Hinman's and get the supposed inheritance of $21,000. She said that 2 days earlier, Manson had told her privately that if she wanted to, quote, do something important, she could kill Hinman and get his money. Bobby was arrested on August 6, 1969. After he was caught driving Hinman's car, police found the murder weapon in the tire well.
I mean, and you got to remember, this was $21,000 that they had no proof of. No confirmation, no evidence. It was just a thought in Manson's head that, hey, this guy has money for whatever fucking reason he came up with.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's rich.
Why? Why would you even think that? And then you're sending people, and over the course of 2 fucking days, they found nothing.
Exactly.
They found nothing. So then Manson got pissed that there was no money and was like, all right, kill him. Be done with him. Get rid of him. Like, it doesn't make any, like, it doesn't make any sense.
I hate this murder.
The Tate murders?
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is the worst one.
Let me talk about Tate murders. I hated writing this one.
Yeah, this one is really rough. I mean, they're all rough, but this one especially because
Ghost of Entered her house.
She was pregnant. Yeah, it was so sad. And American Horror Story, like the nurses that are in the home or whatever, that's loosely based on the Tate murders. Especially with the happy faces on the wall and shit.
On the night of August 8th, Watson took Atkins, Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian to 150 Celia Drive. Watson later claimed that Manson had instructed him to the house and, quote, totally destroy everyone in it and to do it as gruesome as you can.
Yep. Because they were rich. They were like actresses and actors and stuff, yeah.
Manson told the women to do as Watson instructed them. The occupants that evening were Tate, who was 26, who was 8.5 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Her friend and former lover, 35-year-old Jay Sebring, a noted celebrity hairstylist. Polanski's friend, 32-year-old Wojciech Frykowski, and Frykowski's 25-year-old girlfriend, Abigail Ann Folger, heiress to the Folgers coffee fortune, and daughter of Peter Folger. Also present on the property was 19-year-old caretaker William Garrettson and his friend, 18-year-old Stephen Earl Parent. Tate's husband, Polanski, was in Europe working on a film. Music producer Quincy Jones was a friend of Sebring who had planned to join him that evening before changing his mind. Because he would have died too.
Yeah, that was fortuitous.
Watson and the 3 women arrived at the house just past midnight on August 9th. Watson climbed a telephone pole near the entrance gate and cut the phone line to the house. The group then backed their car to the bottom of the hill that led to the estate before walking back up to the house. Thinking that the gate might be electrified or equipped with an alarm, they climbed a brushy embankment to the right of the gate and entered the grounds. Headlights approached the group from within the property, and Watson ordered the women to lie in the bushes. He stepped out and ordered the approaching driver, Parent, to halt. Watson leveled a .22 caliber revolver at Parent, who begged him not to hurt him, claiming he would not say anything. Watson lunged at Parent with a knife, giving him a defensive slash wound on the palm of his hand that severed tendons and tore the boy's watch off his wrist and shot him 4 times in the chest and abdomen.
This was the friend of the
18-year-old
housekeeper.
Yeah, this was the 18-year-old. Killing him in the front seat of his white 1965 AMC Ambassador Coupe. Watson ordered the women to help push the driveway. Watson next cut the screen of a window, then told Kasabian to keep watch down by the gate. She walked over to Parent's car and waited. Watson removed the screen, entered through the window, and let Atkins and Krenwinkel in through the front door. He whispered to Atkins and awoke Frykowski, who was sleeping on the living room couch. Watson kicked him in the head, and Frykowski asked him who he was and what he was doing there. Watson replied, quote, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business."
Yep.
On Watson's directions, Atkins found the house's other 3 occupants with Krenwinkel's help and forced them to the living room. Watson began to tie Tate and Sebring together by their necks with a long nylon rope, which he had brought. then slung it over one of the living room ceiling beams. Sebring protested the rough treatment of the pregnant Tate, so Watson shot him. Folger was taken momentarily back to her bedroom for her purse, and she gave the murderer $70. Watson then stabbed Sebring 7 times. Frykowski's hands had been bound with a towel, but he freed himself and began struggling with Atkins, who stabbed at his legs with a knife. He fought his way out the front door and onto the porch, but Watson caught up with him, struck him over the head with a gun multiple times, stabbed him repeatedly, and shot him twice.
Yep.
Kasabian had heard horrifying sounds and moved toward the house from her position in the driveway. She told Atkins that someone was coming in an attempt to stop the murders. See, now, she tried to stop them.
Yeah, not
a few times. Though. No. But she was like, you know what? Fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Because she gave him up. She was like, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Later. She gave him up later.
That's good.
Inside the house, Folger escaped from Krenwinkel and fled out a bedroom door to the pool area. Krenwinkel pursued her and caught her on the front lawn, where she stabbed her and tackled her to the ground. Watson then helped her. Her assailant stabbed her a total of 28 times.
Jesus Christ.
Frykowski struggled across the lawn, but Watson continued to stab him, killing him. Frykowski suffered 51 stab wounds and also had been struck 13 times in the head with the butt of Watson's gun.
Jesus fucking
That bent
overkill.
That bent the barrel and broke off
What the fuck?
And broke off one side of the gun grip, which was recovered at the scene.
What the can you imagine the force of that? Jesus Christ.
In the house, Tate pleaded to be allowed to live long enough to give birth and offered herself as hostage in an attempt to save the life of her unborn child.
Oh, God. Oh, I don't like this. Hurry through this one. I don't like it.
Instead, both Atkins and Watson stabbed Tate 16 times, killing her. The coroner's inquest found that Tate was still alive when she was hanged with a nylon rope, although the cause of death was determined as a massive hemorrhage. While Sebring's murder, it was found that he was hanged lifeless. According to Watson, Manson had told the women to, quote, leave a sign, something witchy. Atkins wrote pig on the front door in Tate's blood. Atkins claims she did this to copycat the Hinman murder scene to get Bobby out of jail, who was in custody for that murder.
Sick.
Now the LaBianca murders. Which ain't good either.
No, these are not good either, but, like, they killed
But they did fucking overkill.
They killed a baby.
They did. They fucking did overkill. For everything.
I'm nauseous right now. I don't like it.
The 4 murderers, plus Manson, Leslie Van Houten, and Clem Grogan went for a drive the following night. Manson was allegedly displeased with the previous night's murder, so he told Kasabian to drive to a house at 3301 Waverly Drive in the Los Feliz section of LA.
Why was he displeased? Did it
fucking
elaborate?
No, he was just displeased.
Like, you allowed them to get outside? You know, you should have just killed them automatically?
Located next door to home where Manson and his family members had attended a party the previous year, it belonged to a 44-year-old supermarket executive, Lino LaBianca, and his 43-year-old wife, Rosemary, co-owner of a dress shop. According to Atkins and Kasabian, Manson disappeared up the driveway and returned to say that he had tied up the house's occupant. Watson, Krenwinkel, and Van Houten entered the property. Watson claims in his autobiography that Manson went up alone, then returned to take him up to the house with him. Manson pointed out a sleeping man through the window, and the two entered through the unlocked back door. Watson claims Manson roused the sleeping Lino from the couch at gunpoint and had Watson bind his hands with a leather thong.
A leather thong?
It's a whip part.
Oh. I was like, what kind of freaky
shit? They call it a thong.
What kind of freaky shit's happening there?
Rosemary was brought into the living room from the bedroom, and Watson covered the couple's head with pillowcases, which he bound in place with lamp cords. Manson left, and Krenwinkel and Van Houten entered the house. Watson had complained to Manson earlier of the inadequacy of the previous night's weapons. Watson sent the women from the kitchen to the bedroom where Rosemary had been returned, while he went to the living room and began stabbing Lino with the chrome-plated bayonet. The first thrust went into his throat. Watson heard a scuffle in the bedroom and went in there to discover Rosemary, keeping the woman at bay by swinging the lamp tied to her neck.
Good.
He said, fuck y'all. He stabbed her several times with the bayonet, then returned to the living room and resumed attacking Lino. whom he stabbed a total of 12 times.
Why?
He then carved the word war into his abdomen. Watson returned to the bedroom and found Krenwinkel stabbing Rosemary with a knife from the kitchen. Van Houten stabbed her approximately 16 times in the back and the exposed buttocks. Van Houten claimed at trial that Rosemary was already dead during the stabbing. Evidence showed that many of the 41 stab wounds had in fact been inflicted post-mortem. Watson then cleaned off the bayonet and showered, while Krenwinkel wrote "Rise" and "Death to Pigs" on the walls and "Helter-Skelter" on the refrigerator door in LaBianca's blood. Mm-hmm. She gave Lino 14 puncture wounds with an ivory-handled 2-time carving fork, which she had left jutting out of his stomach. She also planted a steak knife in his throat. Meanwhile, Manson drove the other 3 family members who had departed Spawn with him that evening to the Venice home of the Lebanese actor Saladin Nadir. Manson left them there and drove back to Spawn Ranch, leaving them and the LaBianca killers to hitchhike home. According to Kasabian, Manson wanted his followers to murder Nadir in his apartment, but Kasabian claimed she thwarted this murder by deliberately knocking on the wrong apartment door and waking a stranger. The group abandoned the murder plan and left, but Atkins defecated in the stairwell on the way out.
She said, "I'm shit right here."
What?
She said, "I'm shit right here." Okay. See, but at least Caspian, she got that word. She said, "Fuck, we're not doing this." So, wrong door.
Yeah.
So now we have the Shea murder. 35-year-old Hollywood stuntman Donald Jerome, or Shorty, Shea was murdered on August 26, 1969, more than 2 weeks after the Tate LaBianca murders, when Manson told Shea, Bruce Davis, Tex Watson, and Steve Grogan to go on a ride to a nearby car parts yard on the Spawn Ranch. According to Davis, he sat in the backseat with Grogan, who then hit Shea with a pipe wrench, and Watson stabbed him. They brought Shea down a hill behind the ranch and stabbed and brutally tortured him to death. Bruce Davis recalled at his parole hearings, okay, so last time, quote, "I was in the car when Steve Grogan hit Shorty with the pipe wrench. Charles Watson stabbed him. I was in the backseat with Grogan. They took Shorty out. They had to go down the hill to a place. I stayed in the car for quite a while, but then I went down the hill later on, and that's when I cut Shorty on the shoulder with the knife after he was, well, I don't know. I don't know if he was dead or not. He didn't bleed when I cut him on the shoulder. When I showed up, he was incapacitated. I don't know if you asked if he was unconscious. I don't know. He may or may not have been. He didn't seem conscious. He wasn't moving or saying anything. And it started off, Manson handed me a machete as if I was supposed to. I mean, I know what he wanted, but I couldn't do that. And in fact, I did touch Shorty Shea with a machete on the back of his neck. Didn't break the skin. I mean, I just couldn't do it. And then I threw the knife, and he handed me a bayonet in it. I just reached over, and I don't know which side I was on, but I cut him right there on the shoulder cut him on the shoulder with just the tip of the blade, sort of like saying, "Are you satisfied, Charlie?" And I turned around and walked away. And I was sick for about 2 or 3 days. I mean, I couldn't even think about what I had done.
That is wild.
In December 1977, Shea's skeletal remains were discovered on an undistinguished hillside near Santa Susana Road, next to Spawn Ranch, after Grogan, one of those convicted of the murder, agreed to aid authorities in their recovery of Shea's body by drawing a map to his location. According to the autopsy report, his body suffered multiple stab and chopping wounds to the chest and blunt force trauma to the head. And that's all we're going to talk about today.
I think that's enough. Like, I'm done with it. Like, I know all this stuff, but it's just like hearing it and everything, it's rough. It's wild. I don't like any of it. But thank you guys for sticking with us, because this was a long one. Next murder is going to be long, because it's going to be the finale of Manson. Visit us on Facebook. I'm going to post the pictures of the books that I have about Manson. Facebook.com/haunted and homicidal. I know the economy still sucks, but if you guys feel like supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/haunted and homicidal. And of course, you guys can email us any suggestions or stories, or, just like, what's up, bitch?
What's up?
hauntedandhomicidal@gmail.com. But that is going to be all for today. Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.